right? Now see, I holded object in hand. It is in rest position. Until I don't apply any force on it, this body remains in this rest position only. Now, when we apply the force on this body, then body tends to move. Body has moved means from here, it has changed its position up to here. The motion of body or movement of body means nothing but here it is changing its position from here to here. So that we call it as a force. So force can be defined as that particular physical quantity. The physical quantity which tends to change the position of a body. That we call it as a force. Now, this force involves push, pull, right? Push, pull. So, if we take about the push or pull, now see, in general life, if we see a rickshaw, what that person do? He will pull the rickshaw in such a way. This we call it as pulling. Now due to pulling also, we are seeing that rickshaw or any object from one position changes to another position. Similarly, if we take pushing, now here I am pushing the object, right? Here pushing means also it is changing its position from one place to other place. So force can be said to be that particular activity which involves pushing or pulling. That we can say force, either in case of pushing or either in case of pulling. In both cases, the object is changing its position. So such physical quantity we can say as force, right? Now next, either pushing or pulling, nothing but it gives the change in position of the body. Okay? Such force is of two types. One is contact force, other is field force, right? Under contact force, first we will see muscular force, friction force, right? Normal force, okay, and tension. Under field force, we will talk about magnetic force, right? Gravitational force, and electrostatic force. Electrostatic force. In today's class, let us discuss about contact force. So, first, muscular force. So, that is anything which we do with our muscles. So, first let us define what is contact force. Now, here, when I took the object, either pushing or pulling, here my hand is in contact with the object. With that contact only I am pushing. With that contact only I am pulling the object. So if there is an interaction between two bodies, a physical interaction or a contact between two bodies, then such forces we call it as contact force. In that, muscular force. Okay. So here, muscular force means whatever the action we do by ourselves, we call it as muscular force. Means lifting any objects such as bucket of water, lifting, carrying books. Okay. So these all are the actions which we do with the help of the action of muscles. Here, muscles, they are arranged in such a way that in one group, muscles shortens or compresses. In other group, muscle relaxes or lengthens. For example, I want to throw this ball. To throw this ball, what I will do? I will just lift my hand. When I lift the hand, the chest muscles as well as front shoulder muscles, they lengthen. The front shoulder muscle, they lengthen. If we see the back shoulder muscles, they compress. Means one group of muscles will be in such a way that they lengthen. Other group of muscle will be in such a way that they compress. Then I can throw the ball. Here muscular action is taking place. So such forces we call it as muscular forces. Now friction force. Now when I throw this ball on the ground, what happens? It travels certain extent. Here I throw a ball. Now it is traveling up to certain extent. Right? Up to here you think. Then what happened? We see that ball comes to the rest position. So ball is coming to the rest position means some force is opposing the motion of the ball. Some particular force is opposing the motion of ball. So that force which opposes the motion of a force, so motion of body, we call it as frictional force. So it will be in opposite direction to the motion of the body. So if this is the external force which I applied, so due to external force the body moves, but the frictional force which is acting opposite to the external force in such a way, right? The frictional force and this is the external force, they both will be opposite to each other. Due to that action, this ball comes to the rest position. So that particular force which opposes the relative motion between the objects, we call it as frictional force. That is, it acts opposite to the applied force and makes the body to come to the rest position. That we call it as frictional force. Now next one is normal force. Now here let it be a table. On a table I kept some bundle of books. So books has certain weight, right? Now that weight acts in downward direction itself only, but some force, they act perpendicular to these books in upward direction. So that forces we call it as normal forces. This force acts perpendicular. Force acts perpendicular to the object or strings. That we call it as normal force. So normal force will be in upward direction and weight will be in downward direction. So these two are balanced and opposite to each other. Okay. So this is about normal force. Now next one, tension force. Now we can take the example of an elastic body. I took a rubber. Now what I did? I stretched this rubber. Now here you see a stiffness is created. Not only this, we can also talk about the example of strings of guitar, strings of violin, etc. So in all this we will see a stiffness is created either in strings or such elastic bodies when they are stretched. So such stiffness created in such strings of guitar or violin or such elastic bodies when they are stretched, that forces we call it as tension forces. So this is all about the contact force. Alright. Now to explain the force we need magnitude. Okay. So to explain the force, so how much force we applied, we need to know about the magnitude. Magnitude. Magnitude means nothing but size. Magnitude is nothing but size. To explain the force, we will show in which direction the force is moving by a line segment, and we will draw an arrowhead to that straight line or line. So this arrowhead indicates the direction of force. The direction of force. And the length of this line segment only gives the magnitude of force. The length of this line segment gives magnitude of the force. Now next, let us discuss about free body diagram. So free body diagram means, now I took a block. I kept it on a table. Now how many kinds of forces are acting on the block? One is in such a way, I am pulling the block. That is external applied force. Alright? Block is on the table now. In downward direction, 100% gravitational force acts, or the weight of the body or gravity acts in downward direction. When I am pushing no, in opposite direction, what is happening? Frictional force will act. Along this, the normal force perpendicular to the body in upward direction acts. Alright? So means on one particular block, 4 different kinds of forces are acting. So free body diagram means that particular diagram which indicates about how many kinds of force acting on a particular body. That we call it as free body diagram. So how many kinds of forces are acting on a particular body? That we call it as free body diagram. So this is about the contact forces, free body diagram and the magnitude of force.